welcome back to Good Samaritan Spotlight. My name is Dr. Scott Stine. I'm a family physician here in Vincennes, Indiana at Good Samaritan Hospital and Chief Medical Officer of Good Samaritan Physician Network. Joining me today, Brian Baker. Brian is our Director of the Good Samaritan Foundation. So congratulations and tell us a little bit about this role for you and also a little bit about the foundation.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Stine, for having me on today. So I have been on the job for about 6 months now, and I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for this opportunity to Good Samaritan, to Rob McClin, Adam Thacker, the whole team. So I am the director of the Good Samaritan Hospital Foundation, and we have an incredible board that helps lead the foundation. I'll talk about them more here in a minute, but I'm just honored to accept this position. My background has been in fundraising for the last 16 years. Have been devoted in fundraising, and that's been my forte, and I'm really excited to be here. So thanks for having me.
Sure. So tell us a little bit about the foundation. I
Sure.
think people don't necessarily understand, our hospital is a nonprofit hospital, but how does the foundation help? What does it do? How does its missions align with what we come up with as far as the missions of Good Samaritan Hospital?
Sure. So the foundation is a separate 501c3 organization from the hospital, but the mission is to support the hospital. Obviously, philanthropy is at the core of what we do, and our mission statement actually says to develop meaningful and inspirational partnerships that creates that philanthropy to support Good Samaritan.
And I think what a lot of people don't realize is medicine and healthcare is very financially challenging nowadays.
Correct.
We are not raking in cash and piles of money laying around. We run on a very, 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 very thin margin, and that margin is basically to help continue to advance our technology, to help with patient care, to help with charitable outreach. And there's a lot of patients that don't have the finances to afford our services sometimes. And then there are times when we have new technology that we need or services that we want to expand, and we need help with those things, and the foundation helps with those.
Exactly. So you're hitting on the core pillars of the foundation, and first being patient assistance. Every day we're getting requests from patients, whether it be prescription drugs or any kind of care that they just do not have the ability to afford health care. And so that's where the foundation can step in. And then you mentioned technology. So we've done some really great things, including the simulation lab with CIE. We just did fetal monitors for Dr. Blackwell's office because the ones they had were about 15 years old. And we can step in on a lot of different levels. And the other piece I think that we should mention is about community. Although our mission and vision is to support Good Samaritan, we also help out in the community as well. There's been things like the Lester Park basketball project just here recently that we're in and helping to provide that recreational place for our kids. And that's what we want to do. We want to support Good Samaritan first, but also be an important part of the community.
Yeah, and that pertains to the health and wellness of our community.
Absolutely.
And we look at that. We look at some of the outreach we've done in the past with AEDs for different organizations, right. New scanners for the hospital. A lot of people don't realize, but our facility is very up to date with the best technology around. We routinely have physicians that come and visit from other places like Indianapolis and larger tertiary care facilities, and they're somewhat shocked with the technology that we have. And that's one of the things that we're very proud of, is that we have that right here at home in our regional referral center that allows our patients to have the best medical care they can. That being said, that stuff's expensive, and we may not always have the budget or the funds available for that, and sometimes we tap into the foundation to get help with those things.
Yeah, I've heard Rob McClin use the word world-class, and we do have the world-class technology right here at home, and the Da Vinci machine being one just here recently, but there's lots of places where the foundation can step in and help provide that for our people.
Yeah, specifically radiologically, radiologically the technology advances very rapidly, and we're always trying to keep the best and most up-to-date, highest power magnets and MRIs available.
Right.
And we're very fortunate. Like I said, a lot of times our surgeons will come from other places and say, wow, you've got this particular Tesla magnet. That's the best one I've ever worked with, the best imaging. You mentioned the robotic technologies. We have a couple different robots that are used for our surgical procedures. And that stuff is not just great in terms of patient care, but that attracts physicians to our facility as well, which is kind of exciting.
It is.
When we interview new people, they say, well, tell us what you've got. And they're like, well, we've got this particular robot for orthopedics. We've got this particular robot for urologic procedures, things like that. And we get a lot of help from the foundation foundation in terms of making sure that our technology stays current.
Excellent.
I think a lot of people will ask them, that's something that I would like to be a part of. What things can people do to be a part of supporting the foundation and its missions?
Yeah, it's a great question. So there are lots of ways to be involved with Good Samaritan and the foundation. First we think about philanthropy and giving, and of course that's the business, the job that we're in is to be benevolent. And so we always encourage folks to support in whatever area that may be. For me and my family, it's maybe a couple areas. My wife went through breast cancer 3 years ago. She's a proud breast cancer survivor. And so that pulls on the heartstrings of our family. And the other piece would be education. We just offered and awarded many scholarships to local students going into healthcare. And there are lots of different scholarships that we have within the foundation.
Well, I think that kind of opens up the importance of people understanding all the different roles that we have here at Good Samaritan Hospital. And I think a lot of people don't know. My daughter recently participated in a program where they toured high school students around the hospital and gave them examples of what different healthcare professions and fields there are. I think,
Yes.
Everybody thinks, well, I can be a doctor and I can be a nurse, I can be administrative, so forth. But they toured them through the lab, they toured them through the morgue, they toured them through the support facilities for the institution. And so I think it's important for people to understand that, not only is this a great resource for our community in terms of care, but this is a great employment opportunity as well. And so that outreach and helping people understand and then offering of those scholarships supports that.
It does. And so that's the generosity part where people can financially support the foundation. The other area would be just volunteering. I'll circle back to our board. We have a very active board, and I'm so proud of their engagement. We just had our golf outing, and many of them were there. They're not a board that just shows up every quarter for a board meeting. They actually want to be involved. They were selling tickets and providing that leadership and hands-on time with our community. So we've got an engaged board, but not even just at the board level. Our Serve 365 volunteers within the hospital, they're engaged in the community. So whatever that may look like for you, we'd love to have their involvement.
Yeah, I have lots of patients that get to a point in their lives and they've retired and they're really kind of not knowing exactly what to do with their time.
Yes.
And there are so many opportunities as far as volunteer work with the hospital, philanthropic endeavors with the foundation, and that serves multiple purposes. Number one, increased purpose for them, but also these are kind of the fabric of our community, and that outreach that they can provide, tapping into their friends, their family, so forth, is a huge deal as far as fundraising.
And it's helpful for us, too, because many of them have experience, whether it be a nurse or a teacher, and can provide valuable insights into the foundation that we need as we grow and increase in our vision.
Yeah. I think one of the things that's probably challenging is keeping people engaged in philanthropic endeavors, meaning, like when I got out of college, every year I would get a little card from my college asking for money, and I'm like,
Sure.
I have no money. And year after year, I have no money and I have no money. And then you get to a point in time in your life and you're like, hey, this was a really important part of my education, this was an important part of my development, this was an important part of my health care. What can I now do to give back for that? And I think, when you look at that, you have to strike while the iron is hot, but you also have to keep going fishing.
Yeah, Mother Teresa said that nobody became poor by giving. And the older we grow, the more we understand about generosity at the core in our heart, and exactly your education, your health care, people who have poured into your life, then it becomes, I want to give back. And so, again, there are many ways to do that with Good Samaritan Hospital Foundation. And you'll see, the more I'm here, the more you're going to see some programs like that. For example, with the employee campaign that we just had, we had some of those levels that you can participate, but also for the general public, things like a Friends of Good Samaritan program is coming. So there'll be lots of different opportunities.
Yeah, and any amount of giving is great. It's
Yes.
also good to make this a routine.
Yes.
I tell people that, when you look at your year, as far as what you give to your community, your church, your hospital, so forth, it's kind of nice to look at that yearly and say, this is my plan for my year, and include Good Samaritan Foundation in that, because that's something that to me, we know where those dollars are going. It's something that we look at, we vote on, we ask our providers, we ask our physicians, we ask our patients what things are needed.
Right.
And anytime you're giving, you want to make sure that as much of the money as you give gets used in the manner for which it was intended.
Correct.
And that's one of the things I'm always very proud about is whenever these things come up each year, this is stuff that's brought to us as providers of our health care in the community. It's brought to the hospital providers, administration. It's brought to the people that we provide care for, the patients, to say, hey, what is needed? What do we need to do? And that's stuff that's where the rubber meets the road. The money is being used locally to help our patients.
And to your point, I've learned from my friend Gary Hackney, who had this position for many years for the foundation, that every dollar that a person gives goes into what we call the fund summary, or I call it the portfolio. Mm-hmm. And so there's not very many nonprofit organizations that you can say every dollar I give goes into that. And how that happens is the budget of the foundation is funded out of the hospital. So that's a pretty unique thing for our organization too.
Yeah, very much so. Many organizations, when you kind of investigate what percentage goes, well, there's no percentage here. It's everything you donate goes locally. And ultimately, you are helping your fellow man, your fellow people in the community, and people who need those services. Because you mentioned there's a lot of charity care that is given here. And, I tell everybody, all my students that I teach, that it's not difficult for us to know how to practice medicine. It's difficult how to deliver that care. And that is the challenge sometimes financially, with insurance, with testing, with things like that. And we're very fortunate that we get help from the foundation on that.
Well, thank you.
Yep. So as far as contacting you, getting involved with the foundation,
Sure.
how do people do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go on our website, and there's a link here to find us. But I'll also say that we're in the Bierhaus building, second floor, suite 201. Please stop by and visit with us. We'd love to see you.
Excellent. Very good. Well, Ryan, thank you very much for being with us today. And thank you all for joining us for Good Samaritan Spotlight. And we'll see you again next time.